Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to It's Rainmaking Time. This is Kim Greenhouse. It gives me great pleasure to welcome back Mireille Guiliano, who is the author of French Women Don't Get Fat, 3 other blockbuster best-selling books, Women Work and the Art of Savoir-Faire, Business Sense and Sensibility, French Women for All Seasons, and the French Women Don't Get Fat cookbook. She is considered the high priestess of French lady wisdom and is recognized as an ambassador of France and its art of living. Many, many women turn to her for guidance and mentorship. She was president and CEO of the champagne company Veuve Clicquot. She grew the company from 1% to more than 25%. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be discussing her book, Women Work and the Art of Savoir-Faire, Business Sense and Sensibility. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Mireille Guiliano, to It's Rainmaking Time. Good morning.
Bonjour, Kim. Well, that's a long introduction. It's embarrassing.
Well, at least you're not going to do what I did at a tennis tournament. Somebody gave me an incredible introduction, and I served the ball, and it went about 6 courts over it. I accidentally hit it on the rim of the racket, but I know you won't do that today.
Well, actually, now I have to come up to all this. Well, sure.
Oh, I'm sure you won't have to stretch very far. First of all, thank you for this book.
Well, thank you for interviewing me. That's very kind of you.
You talked about so many things that people are feeling and maybe thinking, and many of us don't notice that you notice and have been enculturated with. And I think the first thing I wanted to talk about was your emphasis in the book on enlightened self-interest. I'd like you to explain this to the audience. What is enlightened self-interest, and why is it important to you?
Actually, I'm glad you caught it, because it shows that you really read the book, because to me, in many ways, it's one of the most important items in the book. And, people think enlightened self-interest, that's being selfish. And not at all. What it is that it's creating your own luck and opportunities and making the most of them. Now, you don't learn that or know that when you are, 18 or 22 or 25. But that's really what my 25 years in business taught me as the most important step and value and thinking, in enjoying work, finding work that you're passionate about it, but also knowing what to do, because in many ways, we go through recessions, we have challenges, but things pass, and at the end of the day, you have to find each of us, and, there's no one-size-fits-all, so we each have to do that inner search and know and have a good understanding of what our skills are, what our competences are, what our weaknesses are, and see what opportunities there are and where we fit, and grab them when they come. Of course, that takes a little courage and risk, but at the end of the day, that's really a very important action that a woman, or anybody actually, I have many men reading my books and thanking me for helping them, or said, I wish I'd read your book 10 years ago. I would have better know how to negotiate my salary or how to get out of that company, et cetera, et cetera. But the enlightened self-interest is really crucial.
There's another thing, which is that so many of us view self-interest as being a bad thing. Now, women often think self-interest is a bad thing because we're not used to taking care of ourselves and concerning ourselves with our self-interest. We're always taking care of others.
It's actually a sign of, and of course, we're brought up in many countries. I've just been back from China, Japan, and many countries in Asia where, it's even worse than the Western world, where women are insecure. And it's because of a sense of a lack of confidence or no sense of security that we see that as selfish. But it is not selfish at all.
You gave the context for it, but what distinguishes enlightened self-interest from traditional self-interest?
Well, it's because, as I said, we are all different, all unique, and it's really lining up what really interests you in life. And if you have that opportunity and you're ready for it, is grabbing it. And, men do it all the time, and they don't define it as such. But, of course, they have been brought up in a different way, and they know how to, pass a colleague and don't feel anything about it. And I'm not saying you need to be aggressive or mean or manipulative or calculating, but it's just being aware of what's out there for you. Because at the end of the day, I talk about the big four anchors in life, and they're all important, but the last one, the you, the me factor, is what's important, because it's coming back to my kind of holistic approach that I talk about in all my books. And if you are bien dans sa peau, if you're comfortable in your skin, you will get a good job. And if you have a good job, and you're healthy and happy and committed and rewarded by your work and passionate and enthusiastic about it, it will show. It will reflect upon your, everyone you meet, from your colleagues, but also your friends and people you don't know, and your spouse and your kids, and they will notice. There's nothing worse than a grumpy employee, because that rubs in every little aspect of their life. Look today, a good example is the nastiness of people on the internet. All these people are really, you have to feel sorry for them. They're unhappy, they're frustrated, so they think they get their frustration out by being mean or telling lies about other people or judging other people. And if you have that kind of enlightened self-interest at heart, it really goes behind just your job. It goes towards your equilibrium, your balance. Some people don't like the word balance, and I would say it doesn't matter what you call it. You can call it, life work fit or whatever it is that make you a more stable and, as a result, happier person.
I noticed that you took a lot of care to talk about the nuances of how electronic communication is impinging on our lives to the point where we're so accessible to cell phones and the computers. And not only you stress the need for balance, but you also talk about the fact that we need to unplug.
Yes, it's actually a growing concern. I've just done an extensive tour through Asia, as I said before, and also Europe. I was back, in Paris, in Amsterdam, in various countries, cities in Europe. And young people are really having a hard time because our brain wasn't set to be kind of multitasking 24/7. And yet those little machines make it sound like, we've got to answer right away. We've got to do this. We've got to be on this. We have to, when we cross the street, we have to answer it. When we're at the beach, when we are in a restaurant. And it's mostly not necessary. And unless you have a job, of course, like, a firefighter or a doctor or a nurse or some kind of work where, your presence or your answer is crucial. But most of us in business, somebody can wait until, a few hours later. And so you don't need to be after these things. I notice just people on the plane, they're constantly looking, constantly thinking that, so you wonder, is that a sign of self-importance or are they already addicted? And if they are, it's unhealthy. And I met a lot of young people, including in Paris, especially women, complaining that their husbands, since they got this little, BlackBerry, are not focused and come home and they're just home and they check it and they don't pay attention to the table, to dinner at the table and what the kids say and all that, of course. So it's creating a lot of stress. And when you're stressed, you're not at your best. Some stress is good, but these kind of machine actually are very dangerous in making your life more stressful. So you have to take a step and find, and again, there's no one size fits all. But to me, for example, I just won't look at my email over the weekend, Now, of course, I don't have, I'm not a CEO anymore, and I don't have to juggle with crisis and all that. But even then, it's like, what did we do before when we didn't have all these gadgets for the weekend, We can wait. I mean, it's not going to go away, and it's not going to be the end of the world in 99.9% of the cases. So we have to make a choice where to stop. And, I find it extremely rude when you go and take someone to a restaurant. And I was with a businessman recently in New York, and he must have gone to his cell phone like 12 times during lunch. And I almost felt like saying, look, if we can't even finish a sentence and discuss what you want to discuss, why did you take 2 hours of my time? You could have sent me an email or called me from your office. But there's no point to spend it at lunch because you're not there. You're not with me. And, I really don't want to waste my time like that. It's a waste of time to me. So much has been accepted that people, you see young people online or not even young people, lots of people in supermarket, in shops, and, they're the cashier and they chit-chat on the phone and there's a big line after that and nobody cares. And I find it extremely rude. So we don't have a kind of new etiquette for how to behave, and a lot of it has become, it's permissive, but people are reacting. Look, when the TGV first had to deal with these people starting in France, rebelling because, you don't want to hear somebody's conversation, and most of the time they're really not heavy and crucial conversation. On the train, so now you can't call or receive on the train. You have to go out at the end, and you have some train which are reserved for people who want to use their cell phone, but basically, it's not allowed. And it's sad that now we are becoming a society where we have to go to so many forbidden things. It's silly, it's backwards. I mean, if people had any sense of being civilized and being compassionate and have empathy and polite, the basic laws of courtesy, you don't do these things. So there's a lot of education to be done and a lot of sensibility
yes.
that is not there, and it's unfortunate.
I so appreciated that you brought this up in your book because I complain to many people about this when I go to a restaurant and I sit down, and most people talk very loud when they're on their cell phone,
yes.
and they have no awareness of it.
Mm-hmm.
Even I was getting a massage a month ago. A guy took a cell phone into the massage place and started talking, and I walked up very nicely and I said, I'm very sorry, I don't mean to offend you, but I really don't want to hear your conversation. I want to relax and get my massage.
Yeah.
Can you please whisper or text message the person? But some shops and some retail places, they're so hungry for business, they will enforce no courtesy, no etiquette. It's amazing. I've seen it also, as you talk about. In clothing stores, cashiers will just get on the cell phone.
Yeah.
Restaurants, it's appalling what goes on in restaurants. And because people also speak louder than when someone's just sitting there.
Much louder. Many companies are now starting training sessions for service because we are becoming more and more, at least in the developed countries, a society of service jobs, but they are done so poorly. Because of these equipment that were supposed to help us in many ways, but also do a lot of things that are not correct and that are not good and that annoy a lot of people. And so they need to be trained, they need to be told you just can't do that. The customer is king and you can't just be on the phone calling your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your mom or whatever to say, things that could wait until the end of the day.
The other thing is there's some type of developed culture that says that someone's device is like their bubble, their reality, but when they bring it into any environment, that environment becomes their house, their bubble, and is just assimilated into their bubble, and this is subconscious.